Your daily dose of sports talk is here. Highlights, interviews, and analysis. From the entertainment capital of the world, SportsWrap with Jason Page starts now.
And we welcome you to it, this Thursday edition of the show. So much to do over the next 60 minutes, and glad to have you with us. We will be joined by our friend Dennis Bernstein of thefourthperiod.com and SiriusXM NHL Radio. Get thoughts with him on the postseason field, which is set for the Stanley Cup Playoffs. Sam Yarnell will be here. Get into it with him on the NBA play-in tournament games, which we'll be talking about here in just a moment. LIV Golf on its last leg. Depends who you're listening to. Their CEO, Scott O'Neill, says, no, we're fine until the end of the year. But reports came out yesterday suggesting the Saudi-backed PIF would stop funding LIV Golf, that they were scrambling to try and figure out how to fund it if that takes place. We'll get into that coming up a little later on as well. Mike Trout continues to mash, but the Yankees continue to find ways to win games they should be losing. We'll get into that. NFL replacement officials apparently could be coming to you in 2026. But we start things out as we always do on this Thursday edition of the show. It's time for the big story. And a big story should have a Colossus sponsor, Colossus Fantasy. Pick'em games, peer-to-peer. They have all of it. Here's what I need you to do. Go download this app right now and go try out Colossus Fantasy. If you love pick'em games, you're going to love Colossus Fantasy. All you got to do when you sign up is use my promo code SportsWrap. Use that promo code SportsWrap on your first deposit. A $10 deposit gets you a $40 bonus. A $20 deposit gets you an $80 bonus. You'll have $100 to start with just by depositing $20. What are you waiting for? Go and check it out right now. Colossus Fantasy. Go and download the app today. Warriors and the Clippers played a banger in Los Angeles last night. And I got to say, I'm not a Warriors fan. I'm not a Warriors sycophant. But I appreciate greatness. And I especially appreciate a team that, let's face it, this team knows. This roster knows. This head coach knows. Mike Dunleavy knows. They all know this is not a championship team. The easiest thing in the world for the Warriors to do after the way the rest of their regular season went, with Curry being out for 2 months, everything that took place, the easiest thing for this franchise to do would have been to simply go into Los Angeles last night, roll over, and go into their offseason, head to Cancun, as the guys on Inside the NBA would say. Instead, this Warriors team, multiple times in this game, was down double digits, on the road, hostile environment. Every time they punched back, and they were led by Steph and Curry. But it wasn't just Curry. As great as he was with 35 points in 36 minutes, as great as he was, Porzingis doing what he did, Al Horford providing the spark that he did, Santos doing what he did, Draymond Green playing Draymond Green defense from 6 years ago and locking down one of the best players in the game in Kawhi Leonard. Everything you could possibly ask for. This Warriors team played this like a Game 7 of an NBA Finals, knowing they had nothing left. Playing like they had nothing left. You could see the exhaustion in them by the end of the game. And they somehow figured out a way to get just enough. And I kept wondering, with all the comebacks in this game, with Curry and the minutes restrictions and Porzingis and Horford and all those guys only able to play so many minutes, I was wondering if they'd have enough legs at the end of this game to get across the finish line. I knew they'd hang around, but would they be able to get across the finish line? And they did. Horford hitting three-pointer after three-pointer late in that game. And Golden State moves on. Now, who knows? Maybe they lose to Phoenix on Friday night, and all of this wonderful talking the big story is for nothing. Maybe that's what happens. Maybe this was their final sort of, swan song as this group that we thought about, this dynasty that was Warriors basketball. Maybe this was it. But maybe it's not. Maybe they go into Phoenix and figure out a way to win that game. Now look, are they going to get blitzed? Are they going to get destroyed by Oklahoma City in the first round? Probably. There's a good chance that series will be a sweep. And I mean that with no disrespect to Steve Kerr and the Warriors. The Thunder are a juggernaut. The Warriors, as they've said themselves, are on their last leg. But to watch Stephen Curry last night, especially in that third quarter, where he single-handedly carried the offense, making shot after shot, play after play. And then in the fourth quarter, this Warriors team able to get across the finish line. I was emotional for them because I could see that this team and this group laid everything they had out on that court. In comparison to the game that was on just before them, where you had the Magic on the road in Philadelphia against a team without Joel Embiid, a game they should win, and they go out and play at 70% or 60% of what they're capable of, which is why the Magic are where the Magic are, playing in the play-in and on the verge of going home before making the playoffs, should they lose to a Hornets team that is favored over them in that matchup on Friday night. By contrast, you have this older group of players with nothing to prove. They've all won championships, all of them. Porzingis, Horford, Draymond, Steph, they've all won championships. This group has nothing left to prove. And yet they played like the team that was trying to win something for the first time, as opposed to the Magic, who are out there half-assing it and pretending that they've won something when they've won nothing. It's remarkable. It really is. So hats off to the Warriors. I'm rooting for them. Give me more Stephen Curry, because you don't know how many more times you're going to get to see it at this stage of his career with this group. All right, we got more to do on this play-in tournament stuff. Sam Yarnell will be here. We'll get into it with him. Dennis Bernstein later in the show to talk pucks. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the show on this Thursday. Dennis Bernstein, thefourthperiod.com, SiriusXM NHL Radio, coming up in 10 minutes. Las Vegas Golden Knights are division winners. Look at the Utah Mammoth in the first round, which people had basically been predicting weeks ago could potentially happen, and looks like it will. Sam Yarnell is here. Help us run through the NBA play-in tournament. I gotta take you to task. I gotta come after you because you didn't think this play-in tournament was gonna. It's been fire. I mean, it's been straight up fire, this play-in tournament, these 4 games. And look, I know the argument is none of these teams are going to win an NBA championship, but you could say that about 80% of the playoff field as well. So give me 4 games that are fire like we've seen here, Sam, and I will sign up for it any day. Plus, I do think there are a couple of teams there that could potentially pull off some upsets in the first round. We'll get into that, though. Let's go through the games last night. We'll go through them chronologically because I could just sit here and talk about the Warriors for...
Wait. You're going to take me to task and not give me a chance to defend myself? Well, that doesn't seem fair.
What do you need to defend? You thought the play-in tournament was garbage.
I still do. However, I will say the NBA has done, at least to their credit, which they deserve very little of, right? At least to their credit, the NBA has absolutely made it so that fan bases from sea to shining sea have eyes on these play-in games tonight. Perfect example, Jason. The game that goes down tonight with the Suns and the Warriors, right? It's the Suns and the Warriors now. If the Warriors beat the Suns, the Wizards have the right to swap picks with the Suns in the first round this year. So yeah, there are plenty of fan bases that are still invested in this play-in tournament. But like you said, none of these teams are going to make noise because none of them ever do outside of that one weird Heat year.
And by the way, speaking of that, the win last night for the Warriors, which we'll get to in a second, means the Thunder get a lottery pick again.
Yep. Yeah, tell me all is right with the NBA. Tell me everything's right with the NBA.
Make better choices, Clippers. All right, let's get into it here. First of all, the Sixers. I mean, look, we knew the Magic have been dogs, basically this entire second half of the season. They have not risen to expectations. Jamal Mosley's probably going to be out of a job, barring some insane run where they win Friday night and then go on to make some sort of run in this postseason. I think Mosley's history in Orlando. But you know what? Credit to the Sixers with no Embiid in that game. And they're one of the teams, if they get enough of Embiid in that series against the Celtics, I think they can push Boston. I don't think they're going to win the series, but 6-game series, not out of the realm of possibility for me when we talk about the Sixers, if Embiid can play in that series.
I'll take it a step further. I think there's an outside chance the Philadelphia Sixers upset the Boston Celtics in the first round.
What?
Yep.
Almost made me
I think
spit up my orange
if there's any team in this Eastern Conference for the Boston Celtics to potentially overlook in the first round, the Joe Mazzulla-led Boston Celtics, who seem like the least team that is the least prone team to overlooking an opponent, it feels like if there's one opponent they could overlook in this first round, it is the Philadelphia 76ers. And like you said, if they get enough Embiid, you're talking about Boston essentially not being able to match up with Embiid defensively. Yep. You're telling me what Kata is going to lock down Embiid for 5 games or 6 games of that series? No shot. I'm sorry, that just does not happen in the National Basketball Association. It doesn't. And Celtics fans, you can scream at the TV as much as you want right now, but that's just not how the NBA works. That's unfortunately just not what happens. So yeah, I think the Sixers are a team that could get the Celtics to trip up in that first round.
Maxey and Edgecombe too will give them fits in the backcourt. But nothing was more emotional for me to watch last night. And I'm not even a Warriors fan per se, but to watch that group that basically stumbled down the stretch, no Curry, 8 games under 500, to go in there and do what they did last night, down double digits multiple times in that game. Every time they came back, the Clippers went on a run. And for that team, that group, that Curry, Draymond, Kerr sort of triumvirate, if you will, to be able to put enough together to get through that game. I don't know what happens against Phoenix on Friday night. I hope they win because I just want to see Curry play. And I'm sure, again, the Thunder would love to see that as well because they're going to mop up the floor with the Warriors. It was still great to see Curry have that kind of game, particularly in the third quarter. Al Horford, who was just in spot-up, make-everything range late in the fourth quarter of this game. I was actually emotional for the Warriors because it is the end of a dynasty. It is the end of this run. We're much closer to the end of it than we are, obviously, even the middle of it, Sam. It was wild to watch that Warriors effort last night. Porzingis gave him something. Everybody gave him something.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, the Warriors have at least the Wizards fan base behind them on Friday night because the Wizards want in on that potential first-round pick swap with the Suns if they're in the lottery. You're right about everything you said about the Warriors, so I'll say what has to be said. What an absolute joke of an organization the Los Angeles Clippers have turned into.
I get it.
What an absolute laughingstock of the NBA have they turned into out there with Steve Ballmer on the West Coast. I mean, Steve Ballmer, I hope you're listening to this somehow, some way, and realizing that every single other owner in the National Basketball Association is going, ha ha ha, look at what he did, ha ha ha, right now. You spent all that money on that team to come in and ring in this new arena, and you do it with a 42-40 season that goes out in the play-in. You go out in the play-in. So yeah, you may have gotten past when the water was warm back in like December, November, when all the investigation was going on. But the reason those got quiet is because your team started to win games. That water's going to get real hot in a flash of a second as soon as this NBA Finals ends. It is not a good time to be Steve Ballmer. It is not a good time to be associated with the Los Angeles Clippers. Ugh.
And Kawhi Leonard disappeared in the second half of that game. He had 19 going to the fourth quarter. He finished basically with just as many. I mean, and credit Draymond Green on that. Draymond Green had him in handcuffs in the fourth quarter of that game. It was vintage Draymond. For everything that I will say about Draymond and the antics and all that stuff, he locked down Kawhi Leonard in the second half of that game. All right, we're coming back. Dennis Bernstein will join us. Sam will be back a little later. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the show. Stanley Cup playoffs are here. Best time of the year, I'm telling you. Playoffs, NBA, NHL going on at the same time. Means I get to talk to this guy on a Thursday. The one and only Dennis Bernstein, thefourthperiod.com, SiriusXM NHL Radio, hangs out with us as well. Whew. So, I mean, look, I know we talked about it last week on the show. This whole thing with, what the Vegas Golden Knights have accomplished. I mean, winning a division, when you consider, what this team has kind of gone through throughout the year, as self-induced as some of it may be. What this team's accomplished, and they're going to get Utah in the first round. And we had talked about this a month ago, I think, them potentially getting Utah in the first round. When you look at the different matchups here in the opening of the Stanley Cup playoffs, how much does that one intrigue you, in particular because of the way Vegas has played going into this postseason?
I think it intrigues me for one reason. The first reason is the guy behind the Vegas bench, John Tortorella. Like Kelly McCrimmon fired a cup-winning coach and Bruce Cassidy. Mission accomplished. They have a 10-game point streak going into the playoffs. They're playing their best hockey, but no surprise, they also have a goaltender that's playing well in Carter Hart. He's supplanted Aiden Hill as the number one. I assume he's played down the stretch. This is a very interesting team because they are starting to play better. And I guess that's what happens when you fire a coach. It releases a pressure valve, and it's freed up this team to play great hockey down the stretch. So as much as I thought Utah had an advantage as the 2 seed playing into Pacific, the way Vegas is playing right now, you have to probably have them as a slight favorite going into that series.
What is the series? I asked this of Kurt Heelan when we had him on the show yesterday, and I'm curious to get your thoughts. If you could only watch one series in the opening round, what's the one you're picking?
Austin, Buffalo. Because I might not want to hear this in Western New York. I like the Bruins in this series. I think they got a legit shot to beat this team. Buffalo played great. They play a little kind of loose and fast. I'm not sure that game's going to travel in the postseason, but Boston beat them 3 out of 4 this season. They have the better goaltender in Swayman, and they have a type of profile that they play. It's no mistake that they beat them 3 out of 4. So this is the really interesting one because Buffalo's been a great story. And you would think, Jason, after all the years of not making it, they're playing with house money. But the fact that they are the 1 seed, it's not house money anymore. Now they're favorites. So it's not like, oh, they got in as the second wild card and this great story in 15 years of no playoffs. Now there's all the pressures in the series on Buffalo. And other than Jason Zucker, maybe I'm missing 1 or 2 other guys that played in the playoffs, they have no playoff experience. Now they have a guy in Lindy Ruff who's been around the block a million times, has playoff experience. Very, very interesting. I love the way this series profiles, Jason. So that's the one I'm looking at to watch the most.
For our friends watching in Canada, in the Eastern Conference in particular, the team with the better chance to pull off the upset in the opening round, Ottawa, Montreal.
Montreal. Ottawa, I wouldn't overthink that series. Carolina's the better team. Ottawa's a nice story. They got in. Olmark's probably the better goaltender than the guys that they have in Carolina, but that's where it stops. So I wouldn't overthink that. Tampa Montreal is a coin toss. I think this is a deep series. It could go 7, and I would lean towards Tampa because, again, of their experience. Now, Montreal got experience last season, so did Ottawa. They both made the playoffs, but these are two different type of animals they're playing. They're playing probably, because of their experience, I'd rank these two teams over Buffalo, only from an experience standpoint. But Tampa Montreal is probably the one I would look at. Montreal would probably be the one. They're playing great. It's a great story. Nick Suzuki could be an MVP someday. Cole Caulfield has 50 goals. They call him Mr. Saturday Night. I think he has 11 game-winning goals. That's a close series. I don't think Ottawa has much of a chance. I think if you profile these two series, Jason, it's a short series with Carolina, a longer series with Tampa and Montreal.
For Dallas, how much does the loss of Hintz here in the start of the playoffs, how much does it impact what they want to do?
Might get them past the first round because Minnesota's strength is not down the middle either. They have Eriksson Ek and Ryan Hartman, who's playing the second-line center, who's really a third-line center on a championship team. It'll get them past here, but once they get past there, that center alignment won't beat Colorado. And the big question mark isn't even at center. It's the guy that's cost them the last 3 playoff rounds. Like every time they've gone out, Jake Ottinger hasn't played well in net. So I think the first goal for Dallas is to get that player playing well in a big spot because this is going to be a tough series. I think the Hintz injury will be impactful, but probably in the second round, assuming they face Colorado, not in the first round against Minnesota.
Has Alex Ovechkin played his last game in the NHL? You've had another week to sort of sit on it, watch the way he's reacted. You know, he sort of waved off the Penguins last week when they wanted to sort of give him a farewell. What's your sense as we head into the offseason for the Capitals? With his contract ending at the end of June, have we seen him in an NHL on NHL ice for the final time?
Yeah, he waved off the Penguins, but then I think yesterday or the day before he said we'll see when it comes to with respect to his future. Look, he's not playing for a legacy. That's cemented. Now maybe he wants to get to 1,000 regular season goals. What do you play for at this point if you're Alex Ovechkin? You're playing for to win and to have fun. I don't think this team is a playoff contender. Like even they get back, they missed this year. They were a great story last year, and they faded in the second round. Or they play for fun, but you heard his emotional despair when they traded John Carlson away, one of his buddies for a long, long time there. So he's not playing for fun because his friends aren't there, and the team isn't contending, and there's no legacy to play. I think he's played his last game in the NHL.
Last one before I let you go, back to the playoffs, Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. I mean, how much fun is that series going to be? It's been what, 6-7 years, something like that, since they met in the playoffs. This is going to be a fun series, Dennis.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun series. I would bet the over on Sidney Crosby's points in the first game because he always seems to crush Philadelphia. But this profile is a deep series, 6-7 games. So if you're making a bet on it, I bet like over 5.5 games. It's a rivalry series. Like it's not a normal series because not only for the teams, the two fan bases are crazy. Like that's going to be a battle between the two fan bases, but this will be an entertaining series. I think the winner of this one will go out in the next round, but certainly this probably be the most fun series of any of the 8 in the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs.
All right, I'm going to make you give me a prediction now that we've got the field. You know what the matchups look like. Give me your prediction. Who are we going to see in the Stanley Cup final?
Colorado. Well, repeat of 2022. Colorado and Tampa Bay.
And Colorado wins?
Yeah, I would favor Colorado right now. Unless the goaltending goes south and they get injuries, they get banged up. But the big question is Scott Wedgwood. He's going to be the guy. Mackenzie Blackwood's certainly the number 2. Just top to bottom, they have the best team.
Dennis Bernstein, thefourthperiod.com, SiriusXM NHL Radio. Always a gamer. Appreciate you, my friend. Be well.
Thanks, JP. Thanks for the time.
Welcome back. Let's get back to the NBA because there was big news that took place off the court yesterday. NBA deciding not to suspend LaMelo Ball, but they did do something that is still pretty much unprecedented. It doesn't really happen. They went back and gave him a flagrant 2 on the play that had him trip up Bam Adebayo in the play-in tournament game on Tuesday night. But no suspension, Just a $35,000 fine, which credit to Kurt Heelan, who was on the show yesterday. He predicted that would be the case, the $35,000 fine and no suspension. And look, Eric Spoelstra was fired up after the game on Tuesday night, Sam, and for good reason, because they lost their biggest star. Now, granted, you're up 6 late in that game. You got to figure out a way to win. But they had to play without Bam Adebayo for most of this game, Sam. And LaMelo Ball's out there, making plays when he probably should have been ejected from that game for the trip up of Bam Adebayo. So, Sam Yarnell, did the NBA get it wrong with no suspension for LaMelo Ball?
Not at all. The NBA could not have gotten it more right in this instance. And Eric Spoelstra, I'll deal with you in a second, because my gosh, for being probably the most legendary active NBA coach, you had a real embarrassing moment after this game. But on the LaMelo side of it, very, 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 very key distinction that we need to make as basketball fans. This is a dirty play, not a dirty player. This is a dirty play. It's not a dirty player. And that is exactly what the NBA is showing you. They're showing you, hey, don't do this again, LaMelo. Don't let this become who you are. You're a star in this league. You, unlike Bam Adebayo, actually are a marketable star in this league. You are a growing face of the National Basketball Association. And now you've got your Robin with Con Knippel. This is a slap on the wrist. Do not let it happen again. Do not let yourself become a dirty player like former teammates of your boy Con Knippel, right? Do not let yourself become that, okay? That is what the NBA is doing. No, not worthy of a suspension, especially heading into the playoffs, out of the question for, again, one of the stars of the league and not a dirty player who made a dirty play in the moment. The Eric Spoelstra thing is hilarious. The Eric Spoelstra thing just made me absolutely laugh. And you kind of said it in your setting up of the entire situation, Jason. Eric Spoelstra is overtly mad because his best star got injured on a play that, frankly, 9 times out of 10 when that happens, no one gets injured. He got injured in a freak way on a play where that, again, wouldn't usually happen, as we see it happen multiple times every year in the NBA. And Eric Spoelstra's mad because it's the best player he has on his roster. Now, Eric Spoelstra, don't you just think that maybe if that weren't the best player on your roster, you wouldn't even be in this situation to begin with? And this draws me all back to the point that I continue to make about the play-in and its stupidity. But we are rewarding teams who are not actually built to be playoff teams, whose biggest star is Bam Adebayo, by putting them in the freaking play-in. That is why this gets ridiculous. So at the end of the day, this injury situation that I would doubt is even going to bleed into next year, we can put it up to two different things. A little freak accident that, again, I would say estimates happens 1, maybe 2 out of every 10 times that play happens in the NBA. And the stupid gosh darn NBA play-in, which we should not be doing every single year.
All right, a couple of things to refute what you said. One, LaMelo Ball's done this before. There's video. That's first of all. So he has done this same sort of maneuver where he grabs somebody's leg as they're going by. That's one. I don't disagree. I won't disagree with you on the argument that when Bam Adebayo is your star and all of that stuff, I don't have an issue with that. The fact of the matter is it should have been reviewed. And a lot of people are now, you have a lot of people talking about this idea of, should there be, much like the NFL is talking about, a person that can buzz down on, plays away from the ball, that sort of stuff, personal fouls, things like that. Now there are people saying there should be something similar in the NBA, because how 3 refs all missed LaMelo Ball grabbing. An accident is leaving on the iron. An accident's forgetting to, lock the door when you leave the house. An accident is not knowingly grabbing somebody's ankle as you're on the ground and they're trying to get away. That's not an accident. There's intentionality there with what LaMelo Ball did. And to me, He should have been thrown out of the game. I don't think he should be suspended, by the way. I don't have an issue with them not suspending him. I do have an issue with them not throwing him out of that game, though, Sam. There's intentionality
just to be clear, you think
there.
he's a dirty player? You think LaMelo Ball's a dirty player?
I mean, look, he's done it. He's done it before. The NBA should have looked at that.
He has been fined once in his career before this, and it was for using derogatory language in a TV interview. There has never been league consequence towards him for any action besides flopping. He's been warned for flopping more than he's been warned for going at opponents.
But again, I saw the video myself last night that he has done this before, where he's down on the ground and he grabs somebody as they're going by. So, I mean, there is enough of a pattern. Once is an anomaly. Twice there's a pattern to me. And again,
I don't know.
The league should have. The problem is the league doesn't want to take Charlotte, who hasn't been in the playoffs in 1,000 years, and suspend their best player. That's what this boils down to. All right, we're coming back. We've got more to do on this Thursday edition of the show, including LIV Golf. Could it be in its last breaths? We'll tell you about it next. Welcome back. Odds and Ends wraps it up in 10 minutes. Angels and Yankees just keep playing bangers in the Bronx. And somehow the Yankees have won 2 out of 3 in a series they have no right winning 2 out of 3 games in. Mets lost again. I think they've scored 1 run, maybe 2 runs in LA against the Dodgers. Carlos Mendoza is already getting really frustrated with that situation. Sam Yarnell, let's talk LIV Golf, because yesterday the news coming down that it could be the beginning of the end for LIV. Boy, Golf Channel was just ready to dance all over their graves. Breaking news! LIV Golf on its last breath, basically, was the headline. Rex Hoggard, who, just dies to get TV time, got plenty of it yesterday because they were trying to figure out, was LIV Golf even going to compete this week in Mexico City? After reports surfaced that the PIF was ready to pull its investment out of LIV Golf. Now, what's interesting is, supposedly it's supposed to be funded through 2030. But now you've got people saying that the PIF is tired of losing, $500 million every year or whatever it is they're losing, or $500 billion. I forgot what the number is, some stupid number. That doesn't matter to the PIF because they just drill, baby, drill. And now you've got a situation where you've got vendors who aren't being paid, Sam. You've got a Pro-Am that took place yesterday that they didn't even know if it was going to take place. They had this GM's meeting, and then Scott O'Neill, the CEO for LIV, who I know a little bit, used to be in the NBA with the Sixers. He comes out and says, nope, everything's full speed ahead. We're good through the rest of the season. But boy, if you're a lot of these guys like Bryson DeChambeau, John Rahm, Terrell Hatton, who we just talked about recently, all these guys are going to have to start figuring out what the hell they're doing after this season, because there may not be a LIV Golf after this season, Sam.
Ah, yes, LIV Golf, the Los Angeles Clippers of the golf world. I mean, my goodness, man, what is going on over there? I can't say that you and I didn't predict exactly this happening. Maybe
2 years ago.
Maybe they're a year earlier than you and I predicted. I think we were talking about this whole thing collapsing by 2027 when you and I first started doing this show together all those years ago. This is hilarious, objectively. It's very funny when you think about the few big names that still remain on LIV Golf, your Bryson DeChambeaus and your John Rahms of the world, who chose not to leave during that weird, we're going to let you out of jail for free card period on the PGA Tour a few months ago. Real bad egg on those guys' face. Different situations, obviously. Bryson, I think, is convinced that no matter what happens, he'll make his money through YouTube, and that'll be fine, so go ahead with that. I don't know what John Rahm's going to do. Maybe he'll just chill in, the Spanish countryside for the rest of his life. He's probably made enough money, and he can just go play the Masters every year. This is not good for the world of golf, but at the same time, it may be the best thing that's happened to the world of golf since LIV started. Ironically, those two things can be true at the same time because you actively have money being pulled out of golf, 100%. That is never good for any sport to have billions and billions of dollars withdrawn or a $1 billion investor withdraw themselves from a sport, right? But at the same time, you're going to get all this talent influx to the PGA Tour. You're going to get the best talent in the world finally golfing on the premier tour in golf again, which could help, revitalize the sport even more after we saw that huge growth in it, post COVID and then a little bit of a dip. We could see that restart to skyrocket here if all these golfers come back to the PGA Tour, Jason.
You know who's got to be smiling somewhere this morning reading all this? Just sitting back and wherever he is, collecting millions of dollars.
Koepka.
No. I'll give you one. Jay Monahan.
Oh.
Because Jay Monahan was the whipping boy when all of this LIV stuff happened.
That's true.
Jay Monahan got his what handed to him by everybody left, right, and center. And now they waited it out. And they said, we can wait you out, PIF. We believe strongly enough in the institution of the PGA Tour and what it stands for and what golf in the United States stands for, that we could stand on that. And we can outlast you because nobody's going to watch you on TV. And without those TV dollars, because look, the LIV product in person has done very well. You go and look at those events, people go. People enjoy it. It's a different vibe. It's a different atmosphere. But the fact of the matter is, without TV, it is very difficult to sustain what they've wanted to do. And from day one, there was never a plan for how to cultivate this thing on the place where the dollars are most prevalent, and that is television. They never were able to do that, Sam. And ultimately, that's going to be one of the stories of the downfall of LIV, is the fact that you can pour all the money in you want into something. If you don't have television, if you don't have eyeballs, when 30,000 people are watching your premier events, and they're on at all different times of the day and night because you're playing them all over the world, it's very difficult to succeed. I admire the fact, in some regard, that somebody tried to do something to challenge the status quo of the PGA Tour. And by the way, LIV succeeded in that regard because they did bring about changes to some of the ways the PGA Tour does things.
True.
So in some regards, it succeeded. But the idea that you can challenge the PGA Tour without a foolproof plan, which they never had, is showing to be a fool's errand on their part.
Yeah, it is. And in your Jay Monahan esque people who we may need to look at differently after this whole thing, Greg Norman may be the Nostradamus of golf because he got out before it all started to crash.
It's very true. We're coming back. Odds and Ends wraps it up next. Just about time to put the wraps on this baby for a Thursday. Tomorrow's show, our friend Robert Littal will be here, the founder of Black Sports Online. We'll preview WrestleMania in Las Vegas. Go around the top stories of the week with him. Tino Patino will be here as well. Before we go, a couple of reminders. SportsWrap with Jason Page, the podcast, the audio version of this show, available to you Monday through Friday, wherever you get your podcasts. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Odyssey, Amazon. Anywhere you get a podcast, you can listen to this show. Crystal clear audio, Monday through Friday. Go and subscribe today. The SportsWrap with Jason Page YouTube channel is the place to find all things. Guess what? SportsWrap with Jason Page, the Monday through Friday TV version of the show. 45 minutes commercial-free waiting for you early each afternoon, especially on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays when we tape a little earlier because Sam's got to go. So make sure to go and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Our companion podcasts are there as well, extended conversations. SportsWrap Shorts, if you haven't checked these out yet. News breaks, big story, big game. We jump in with a SportsWrap short, 1 to 3 minute long vertical videos made for you when you're on the go. Go and subscribe to the SportsWrap with Jason Page YouTube channel today. SportsWrap shorts also available on our TikTok, SportsWrap Jason Page, and on our Instagram as well. SportsWrap Jason Page. And now, without any further delay, on this Thursday edition of SportsWrap, it's time for some odds and ends. Odds and ends, Sam Yarnell. Yankees and Angels played another banger last night in the Bronx. The Renaissance season of Mike Trout continues. He's hit 4 home runs in the first 3 games of this series. If he hits another one in game 4 of this series, because it's a 4-game set in the Bronx, he will actually do something that only a few players have ever done in the history of Yankee Stadium, old stadium, most recent stadium, new stadium. And that is hit 5 home runs in a single series against the Yankees. Names like George Bell and Jimmy Fox, the others to do it, Sam Yarnell. Mike Trout lighting it up. Unfortunately for him, Jordan Romano has not lit it up. He has instead been lit up by the Yankees. And Jose Caballero, by the way, in both these Yankee walk-off wins, Jose Caballero has come up with huge hits. We can kill the Yankees on a lot of things. Their bullpen is trash. The same old sort of Yankees thing. The move they made late last year that continues to pay dividends is Jose Caballero, of all people in the world. And I have to wonder if Anthony Volpe is ever going to get his starting shortstop job back, Sam.
On the Angels side of this, though, they're still, despite losing these 2 games that, like Jason said, absolutely should not have lost either of them, quite frankly, at all. They're still a game under 500. Mm-hmm. They're still a game under 500. The Angels are playing good baseball, Jason.
I agree.
The Angels are playing good baseball, and it's so funny. We have 2 series going on right now that are New York versus LA. I wonder how often that happens in Major League Baseball, that we have 2 series going on at the same time that are both New York versus LA on opposite coasts. And in that other one, my gosh, it's just getting crazy. Yeah. I know I try to fit it in wherever I can.
I know you can.
But the New York Mets are an absolute abject disaster. It is getting so bad in Queens. You're hearing the fan base going absolutely ballistic. You're thinking they might actually have to start doing something about Francisco Lindor. They might actually have to start shopping Francisco Lindor and entering the phase of a rebuild with how good this NL East looks this year. And on the Dodgers side of that game last night, Ohtani pitching a gem and not hitting? Should we be concerned? I don't know. Is this going to be a regular thing for him now?
I guess he got hit with a pitch, and Dave Roberts wanted to just give him a half a night off. So I don't have as much of a problem with it, but man, was he good on the mound again. I mean, he gave up that 1 run, and then his next 6 pitches or something like that were the hardest thrown pitches he had all night. He shut it down there at 2-1 when it looked like the Mets were going to have a chance to get back in that game. NFL replacement officials getting closer, Sam Yarnell. This is a disaster for the league. I would shut down betting on the NFL altogether if we've got replacement officials in 2026 for the NFL, Sam.
I'll tell you this right now, as someone who's connected with a lot of high-volume gamblers out in Las Vegas, there is a plan to not gamble as much on the massively popular NFL in the gambling space. Yeah. Should these replacement refs really come to fruition? I'm getting nervous. I mean, I barely remember, 13 years ago at this point, when we had the NFL flag referees come in and try to ref NFL games for multiple games. That was horrible. It was awful. It was the lead subject every Monday morning from week 1 to week 5 or something, whenever they got it figured out again. It was awful. We have to avoid that this year, especially, like Jason said, in a world where betting is so much more prevalent and popular.
Yep, I agree. By the way, one last golf note before we go. Tiger Woods fighting the subpoena that's been put out for his prescription drug records from authorities down there in Florida. What's he trying to hide? I wonder. It's going to wrap it up for us on this third. Yeah, I know. We had to slip in the time. If we were going to talk golf today, we had to slip in the time.
No. I'm actually not upset that we slipped in the Tiger story. I'm more upset at like what you said. What do you got to hide?
Yeah, very interesting. That's going to wrap it up for us on this Thursday edition of the show. Thank you to Dennis Bernstein. Thanks to you, Sam Yarnell. Enjoy your Friday off. We'll see you back here on Monday. Robert Littell, Tino Pizzino, a WrestleMania preview, a whole bunch more. We'll catch you back here on Friday for another edition of Sports Wrap. Bye-bye.